Episode 6, Bagan, a plane of temples and pagodas. Another early morning flight, which should have been relatively short, Mandalay to Bagan, but we went via Heiho, so it was an hour longer than necessary. As it is early morning, our hotel room would not be ready, so we started the market with the fresh vegetables and beautiful fruit. And this poor young lad looks like he had one of the fruits dropped on his head. This young lady was annoyed because I was distracting GM from a sales pitch, selling scarves, fabrics, and so on. You may have noticed that the Burmese wear a makeup on their face to keep the sun off, and it is made from wood. This lady is cutting it up and then selling the logs, pieces of wood to people, so they can make their own makeup. On the market, so now it's time to check the temples, which I'm not going to try to pronounce. But this one is 150 feet high and has a base of 140 feet. Temple number 2 dates from the 13th century and has a pyramid-like spire. It also has some of the finest frescoes on the Bagan plain, and also, of course, a Buddha. A hotel and the smallest room we've had so far, but perfectly adequate. However, there was little view of the Irrawaddy River, which was a little disappointing, but it did have a magnificent swimming pool. We wondered what those brown umbrellas were for, but they light them up at night. And we did take a swim. The water was a little cold, but we managed to get in. And we also had a little sunbathing and a relaxing time on the swing seat.
Yeah, rocking chair.
The garden was beautiful and had quite a lot of bushes and flowers and so on, and a view of the Irrawaddy River, which is what you're looking at now, the other side. After really our first relaxing afternoon, we set off again to see the local livestock and visit another temple. The temple was built by King Phaeton while in captivity, and to show his displeasure, he cramped the Buddhas into a very small space. But unfortunately, the temple was destroyed by an earthquake and rebuilt. A panoramic view which shows the number of temples on the ground. After a dusty ride on what can be described as a cart track, which the horses appreciate, we arrive at our destination to view the sunset. A young lad down below selling postcards said he learned his English, which was good, at the monastery. Wow. Then we walked up a lot of steps, very steep, to reach the viewing platform. Top of the world. The view was certainly worth the climb, and there were a lot of people up there on the viewing area, including this young lad who was also selling postcards, but he learned his English at school, he told me. Nien Nien with her friends, relaxing. That must be Mount Popo over there. Mount Popo. There were monks with expensive cameras, and then the professional photographers who were all bragging about the equipment that they had. It was quite a long wait before the sun started to go down, and eventually it did, but behind a cloud, unfortunately, so we didn't get a green flash. Back to the hotel for dinner, which was all beautifully lit up, and then next day we relaxed in the morning, had a massage, and off to another green elephant for lunch, which was on the banks of the Irrawaddy. Very pretty. A little patience was required, as lunch was slow in coming, but when it did come, it was very good, particularly the beer and our cauliflower and egg, the usual dish. Our final event of the day, we visit the lacquerware workshop and were greeted by the nice little dog. Lacquer in a nutshell. And we saw the whole process, and these are examples of what they make, among many other items. They start with fine bamboo strips, if they're, for example, making a bowl. This is just his sketches raw. A detailed sketching all the girls are making. Yes, but very carve in the design. No, they hand. And the color is added, many layers. It takes 3 months to make some of these items. There's a finished, almost finished item. If there's gold leaf required, then the gold leaf is put on by this man. And the object is then washed, and the process is repeated if required. Scraping noise you hear in the background is the man who's sitting next door, who's smoothing off the items, and that's what they look like when they're finished. A little owl, and a showroom where we spent a lot of money and a lot of time. On our way next morning to the airport, we see the balloons up in the sky again, and this gives you the sensation from the ground, floating along in the sky. With the sun coming up on the clouds, it is a beautiful scene. And this balloon looks like it's going to take the top of the pagoda off, but it doesn't. Back to Bagan Airport for the last leg of our journey. And of course we have to fly via Hay-Ho again. That's the third time we've been at that airport. What the countryside looks like below us. And at Hay-Ho we all get out of the plane, take pictures, and you can see my green case there between the people, which they took off the plane, and I waited to make sure that they put it back on again. Hay-Ho to Yangon, which actually took an hour, although it doesn't appear like that on the map. And as we approached Yangon Airport, there was another golf course. Final shot of Yangon Airways, the governor's residence, and now we're on to the final episode, Balloons over Bagan.